As we get into our Roto World player news, of course, excellent transition, Jay, to the injuries we are tracking throughout the week into the weekend. And I think as you see the long list here, Kyler Murray practicing full. Doesn't mean he's going to play, but as his practice window has been activated, that 21-day period, he's now practicing in full. Bijan Robinson practicing full. Miles Sanders and Roschon Johnson the same. So running backs getting healthy. DK Metcalf still limited. Kenneth Walker was a DNP with a calf. Raheem Mostert, that one seems somewhat significant, did not practice. Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, as we'll get to in a second, TJ Hawkinson. And with Tyreek Hill, this quote from Tua was kind of interesting. If we couldn't have Tyreek, that would be tough, but the show goes on. You've got to continue to play. And somewhere down the line, we're going to get Tyreek back. And it has to be one of those things where you never lift your foot off the gas and you don't lose that rhythm as a team or as a unit.
This is an interesting one because I think the buzz line out of that was somewhere down the line. Tyreek back, which I don't know. Maybe it's been taken out of context. Maybe it's taken in context. And the Miami team doctors, they drink free with dealing with Raheem Mostert and Tyreek Hill.
By all means, just get Tyreek Hill and Raheem Mostert back out there on Sunday, and booze on us here at the happy hour. And Devon Achane is actually, we make sure we keep Tua upright as well. So anyway, the press conference, that was the one phrase down the line that got I don't want to say it got taken out of context, but that's the one that got blown up on Twitter, and people are concerned, obviously, given, Tyreek Hill is fast, and anytime you're dealing with hips or hamstrings or anything like that with a fast player, you suddenly go, uh-oh.
Yep. But I do think if you watch the whole press conference, it is taken a little bit out of context because Tua is talking about, Tua's just kind of rambling a little bit and just saying stuff and it just kind of comes out. But what he's saying is that, look, if we don't have Tyreek, then there are other guys who can step up and we'll get Tyreek back at some point. Where it's like, well, the some point might be on Sunday, this Sunday, or it might be 2 weeks away. I would say my best guess is that he's probably not going to play this week, but it's not going to be long term. But we just don't know with hips. Because think about what happened to Jamar Chase last year, where he has the hip and then he's just out a month, randomly out of nowhere. So it could be that. It also could be nothing. But I don't think there's any real clarity at the moment.
Yeah, I think the important thing, we're not going to talk about if and when we find out Tyreek Hill isn't going to play this week, we will have that conversation, whether it's on tomorrow's show or on Fantasy Football pregame Sunday morning, 11 a.m. on Peacock and the NFL and NBC YouTube channel on the Company Man. For now, just want to give you guys a heads up. There's a chance, and we can't tell you if it's 10% or 90%, but there is a chance you don't have Tyreek Hill this weekend. Same with Raheem Mostert, who missed Wednesday's practice. That doesn't feel as serious. Maybe just kind of a veteran rest day given his extensive injury history throughout his career, but just something to keep an eye on, obviously.
Yep.
The only thing that really makes me nervous about Raheem Mostert is I dropped a ton of money on him in a guillotine league, so he's probably not going to play, just knowing,
how those things go.
Yeah, knowing how those things go.
Yeah. Just last one on this, too, is that the line was 10.5. Dolphins favored home to the Patriots, and now it's trending towards 8.5. So the market thinks there is some concern that particularly Tyreek, he may miss.
It's wild to think a wide receiver, and I don't disagree, a wide receiver can move things almost 2 points.
He is the most valuable non-quarterback in the league. It's like him, Parsons, Garrett. Like he's the most valuable wide receiver in the league along with Justin Jefferson.
And I don't want to get down, but if you want a rabbit hole to go down to, last night on Twitter, somebody who does analytics for ESPN tweeted out the fact that he didn't think that Tyreek Hill just basically said Tyreek Hill is like not
he's like the 16th best wide receiver
in football.
Here's the thing: is if you have a model that says Tyreek's the 16th best wide receiver, time to start again. Let's create a model where he's top
this wide receiver model around yards after catch, and I'm not doing justice to the whole conversation. It's the whole long big Twitter thing, but in essence, basically, the argument was, well, Tyreek Hill's a one-trick pony because all he has is speed, and so he's only the 16th best wide receiver or something like that. And it was like, yeah, but that's the whole. I mean,
Patrick Mahomes is one-trick pony. He's just awesome at quarterback.
Yeah. It is that
good.
Anyway, people on Twitter expressed their displeasure with that particular take. Anyway, if you want to go down a whole rabbit hole, it's a fascinating thing. But yes, I agree with you that if your model says Tyreek Hill is not one of the best wide receivers in football, the model, it doesn't work.
Yeah, let's change it.
Some other news we got after yesterday's show. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has entered the league's concussion protocol, and we got to hear from Kyle Shanahan on the status of Purdy. And, of course, Sam Darnold expected to start.
Started getting symptoms on the plane. So we found that out when we landed. We were all pretty asleep, but then he got all checked up today or yesterday, and now he's in the protocol.
Does he have enough time to clear protocol in order to be available for the game on Sunday?
Oh, yeah, he does have enough time. Just got to go through the process.
When you watch the film, where do you think he hurt himself? Quarterback sneaks, maybe?
Possibly. We don't know for sure because he didn't start getting until the plane, so I don't know exactly, but I'd probably guess that.
He's not clear by Friday. Would you say he hasn't practiced? So, do you do that? Or?
No, I mean, Brock didn't take a practice rep versus Seattle on Thursday Night Football till pregame warm-ups, and he had to shut those down a little bit too. So he didn't really get a real rep that week till play one, and he played pretty good. So we'll probably stick with that.
And this is the expected play where Brock Purdy potentially suffered a concussion on a quarterback sneak here, guys, if you're watching.
Yep, and then after that, performance tailed off completely.
Right.
Who knows if that is the cause of that? But we'll just have to see if he can go. Obviously, the short turnaround hurts his chances of playing.
And if you're not watching, if you're just listening, the tweet basically says that basically after that play, his stats were brutal. He had I think he was 2 for 6 for
2 picks.
With the 2 picks. Yeah. So anyway, both interceptions came after that play. So anyway, we hope Brock Purdy gets better soon. If Sam Darnold does get the start, I think he'd be a viable kind of mid-tier QB too. He's playing Cincinnati, doesn't totally scare you against the Bengals. Bengals coming off a bye, of course, but they're the 17th best pass defense over the last 4 weeks as well. Darnold's been in that system since the beginning of camp. They obviously have a lot of weapons. Debo won't be there on Sunday, but I think you could do worse as a bye week fill-in, even though there's no teams on a bye. But I mean, down the road, right down the road, you could be worse. You could do worse than Sam Darnold, who's available in 89% of leagues. Like I'd prefer Sam Darnold to PJ Walker. I'd prefer Sam Darnold to Will Levis. Again, if you're in a deep league,
you're
Jordan
in Love.
Two quarterback league. What
about Jordan Love?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Jordan Love's brutal.
I mean,
Jordan Love has been bad. Listen, if you're thinking about starting Baker Mayfield tonight, I'd prefer Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield. Now you may have to make that choice from to Bryce Young. Anyway, so.
Yeah, and the line has moved from Niners -5.5 to now trending towards Niners -3, which some people said, Brock Purdy's only worth 2.5 points. Sam Darnold's a really good backup quarterback, and moving to 3 is a big move. So I think the market respects Brock Purdy and thinks he's pretty good, but we will see if he does go.
Our last bit of player news, of course, Thursday Night Football, injuries that we are tracking. We talked about Baker Mayfield, so we'll start there. He's questionable with the status of his knee. Chris Godwin is also questionable with the neck injury. On the Bills side of things, Dawson Knox is out with the wrist injury. That's going to be the case going forward for a little bit here. And then Quentin Morris is out with an ankle injury. So we'll keep an eye on the Bucs offense.
This should be a big Dalton Kincaid game as well. So Baker Mayfield's expected to play, as is Godwin. I think Dawson Knox is the only starter that we don't expect to see tonight. You mentioned Morris as well, obviously, third string tight end. But anyway, we saw signs of it last week. This should be a big Dalton Kincaid game tonight. And the last thing is just to clean up the Sam Darnold thing. If he does start, we'll get more into this tomorrow so we get more news. But if for some reason Sam Darnold started, I'd have no worries about starting Kittle, Ayuk, McCaffrey, any of the normal 49ers you would start. I'm still starting with Sam Darnold under center. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.